Welcome back to another episode of the Guitar Bucket List. I'm Jim Fusco, and here is my Fender SoCal Speed Shop Stratocaster. This is one of those guitars that really doesn't check anything new off of the bucket list. It is a limited edition. They only made 600 of these. But this one here was one that we saw, my brother and I saw in a catalog back when it first came out. And it just was one of those guitars where it looks so cool. We just love that 60s surf guitar sound. We love that whole culture. However, I don't live there. My brother did move out there for over 10 years and kind of did that whole thing for a while. But this guitar, just looking at it, whatever your thoughts on Fender Mexico made guitars or not, there's just something about how cool this guitar is. You'll never see anything quite like it. The Fender Custom Shop made a one-off for this guitar and part of their custom shop. And it was basically because the SoCal Speed Shop, and you'll see their decal here is underneath the finish, so you can't peel that thing off. But the SoCal Speed Shop started the same year that Fender started making musical instruments. So it really was kind of an important thing. And after they made that one-off, it looked so cool that they decided to do the Fender Mexico plant, having made 600 of these guitars, kind of like replicas of that original one. And I just, it was one of those things where at the time, I don't remember how much it was, but whatever it was, we weren't buying guitars at the time. We were pretty young, in our early 20s. And it was one of those, hey, remember that guitar? And once I did remember it, I got it in my head and I just could not get it out. I wanted it and realized that, as time goes on, these things they're not making any more of them and they're getting a little difficult to find. You can still find them, but they're not cheap on Reverb. So I probably paid a little more than maybe I should have for it. However, it's really difficult to find these in very clean condition. Now, I'm not a super stickler on stuff like some people on YouTube are, where, every little thing has to be exactly perfect. But, I don't want any cracks. I don't want any, major dings or anything like that. This one, however, it just was never played. It's essentially brand new. Looks really great. And it came with one of those really nice kind of like, I can't remember exactly the brand name of it, but it was one of those really high-end Fender cases with the crushed velvet interior and the whole thing. And that case alone, was worth a couple $100 even used. So it wasn't too bad of a deal, all things considered. And it's interesting, you look at this thing here and you can see, if you look closely enough, you can see the original fretboard markers of the guitar are kind of coming through the red paint on the finish because they painted over the whole thing, fretboard and everything included. And so they had to repaint on dot markers on the fretboard here, and you can see the original one starting to come through the red paint underneath that. So that's kind of an interesting, I guess you would call it a defect of some sort, but really the rest of it is so cool. It has one pickup. It's going to be the easiest demo ever because it's got one pickup and one volume knob, and that is it. It doesn't have a tone knob. It doesn't have two pickups to work with, and it's got a humbucker on a Fender, which is really my only Fender-like guitar that has a humbucker on it. The rest of them I have are all single coil. It's got the cool spots for the strings that come through in the back with those kind of like those stainless steel ferrules in there. It's just a really nice looking guitar overall. It's got a great look to it, which is why I have it hanging up in a special kind of like display box when you come up the stairs to my music room up here. So again, is it something that I'm going to be taking out and playing? Probably not, because I don't want to ding it up. But or even something to record with. Yeah, I'll record with it from time to time because it's probably gonna give me that hot rodded Strat sound because it really is a high output pickup, as we'll hear. But it's one of those guitars that really was something that we wanted when we couldn't get it, and then when we could get it, it just felt so good to say, I can finally make this part of the collection. And even though it's not a really high-end guitar, it just meant that. So this is the Fender SoCal Speed Shop guitar, and let's take a listen. wish I could show you more, but that's it. The Fender SoCal Speed Shop Stratocaster didn't check anything new off the list, so we're still at 38 out of 63 items. Make sure to check out guitarbucketlist.com for all the latest updates.